Hello and welcome back to the channel. Now today I'm not doing an update video or a retrospective, but today I'm looking at the Steam Deck, or as I like to call it, the Steamy D, which is a very bad name and I don't know why I call it that. But anyway, I thought I'd give my thoughts on it. I've had it for about 6 months now, so I think it's the best time to talk about it. And spoiler alert, I absolutely love the fucking thing. It is amazing. It is one of the best console video game things I've ever bought. Honestly, do not regret buying it. It's unreal, honestly, and it's coming up to that time of year where people are looking at, they want to buy a new console, or maybe they want to get one for Christmas. And yeah, we just had the announcement of the PS5 Pro, and it's a bit expensive, so maybe you're looking at something else you want to buy this year. And I thought I'd just give my opinion on the Steam Deck, just in case you're looking at one. Maybe like me and you're a console player and you're thinking, I want to get a Steam Deck, but I'm not a PC player, so I don't know if it's too much of a change to buy one of these. But yeah, I am a console player, so much so that the PC that I'm recording this video on and edit my videos on doesn't even have a graphics card, because I knew full well I would not be playing games on it. So yeah, I am a console player. I do know that PC gaming is superior in every way and all that. I just like the simplicity of consoles. So yeah. Now the first thing to know about the Steam Deck is there are a few different variations of it. The main two being either the LCD version or the OLED version. Now the main difference between these is of course the screen. Obviously the OLED version is a lot better. It runs at a higher frame rate. I think you can get 120 FPS on there, and it has a better battery life. I think it's almost double the battery life of the LCD version, but of course it is a bit more expensive. The cheapest version of the Steam Deck you can buy is about £250, which I think is the 64 gig LCD refurbished model, but it goes all the way up to £570, where you can get the OLED 1TB model. Now I wouldn't worry too much about the storage on these devices, because it is expandable internally and externally. You can add a micro SD right there, and running games on the micro SD isn't that bad either. I've run Red Dead Redemption 2, Forza Horizon 4, loads of different other games on the micro SD, and they run perfectly. The load times aren't that bad. But yeah, the SSD is also upgradable. I have a 256 gig on mine, and it does run out pretty quickly. Obviously, if you're like me and you want to play a lot of big AAA games, they're about 100 to 200 gigs nowadays, so I can get about 3 games on there before it starts to fill up. But yeah, it is upgradable, so if you've only got a bit of money this time around, maybe get the 64 gig model and then save up for like new storage, maybe a new micro SD, which I think you can get like a 1.5 terabyte micro SD nowadays, and you can upgrade the SSD. The one thing I will say is just think about if you want an OLED or an LCD version. Obviously I went for the LCD version just because I know I'm not going to be playing it for like 8 hours a day. I am just going to be playing it between 1 and 3 hours, so the battery life doesn't really bother me that much. Obviously if you do go for the OLED version, you are going to get, I think it's twice the amount of battery life out of it. You're going to get a better screen, and of course obviously if you go for like a 1TB model, you're going to have a lot of space to work with to put games on. But yeah, if you can only afford a smaller storage space right now, again, it's not the end of the world if you can only afford a 64 gig, but just don't expect to be running like Red Dead Redemption 2 on a 64 gig SSD, because that's not going to happen. Now my battery rarely hits 0, but when it does, I think it takes just under 3 hours to charge fully, so it's not the end of the world. If it does die, it's just going to take a bit of time to get some more battery in there. But yeah, other than that, I can't complain about the battery life. Obviously it'd be amazing if it ran for like 4 hours without having to charge it, but again, I don't play it for that long. I only play it for like maximum 3 hours in one day, so the battery life is absolutely fine for that. But if you are someone who travels a lot and wants something that's going to last a long time, definitely go for the OLED version over the LCD version, because the battery life is a lot better. Now, one thing I do want to mention is the only negative I have about the Steam Deck, and honestly this is the only negative I have, is that when you're downloading games for the first time, you can't just turn it on, download games, put them all in a queue and put it in standby mode, because it technically is a PC and it needs to be on for you to download games. But what I would say is just download games one at a time. Do not try and bulk download games, because for some reason when I first had this, I downloaded tons of games. I'd try and play one and the game would just not boot up or not run, because it was still waiting for something else to download, which it couldn't download because another game was downloading. So what I would recommend is, if you are downloading games on this, just do it one at a time. Do not try and bulk download games, because it ends up messing some games up, and obviously you need to keep it on, which I did overnight. I left it on for the first day I had it, and when I woke up the next morning it had like 10% battery left, because it'd been downloading games all night. So yeah, just that's my one tip I'd say about downloading games, is just do it one at a time. Do not try and download everything and anything to the Steam Deck. Just, you know, try a few games out first before you start downloading everything. But yeah, that's my one negative, is that you can't turn it off or put it in standby when you're downloading games like you can a Switch. Obviously the one thing I need to talk about is the elephant in the room, and by elephant I mean the fact that it's fucking massive. Let's compare it to a standard Nintendo Switch, and it's a bit bigger, just a tiny bit. I mean, I hope you can see that on the camera, but yeah, it's quite a big boy. I just want to compare it to the Switch Lite as well. So yeah, this is my fiance's Switch Lite compared to the Steam Deck, and it's ridiculous. I mean, look at that. It is a big boy. It is a very big Steamy D. I need to stop saying that. But it is quite a big device. But the ironic thing is that it is way more comfortable to hold than a Nintendo Switch. It's actually super light. It's not that much more heavy than a Switch. I mean, it is heavier, but it's not very noticeable. Like, I was actually surprised the first time I held a Steam Deck how light it was, because it is pretty deceiving. It looks big, it's bulky, you think it's going to weigh a ton, but it's actually super comfortable to hold. And obviously I've played it for over like 2 hours and it's not irritating me. I mean, my thumbs have gone numb holding it like this, like laying in bed, but that's just a bit random. I don't know why I've told you that, but it is super comfortable to hold. I do prefer this now than holding a Switch, because when you hold a Switch, obviously your palms like rest on this bit and it's really uncomfortable, it's really unnatural, and you start to get a bit of pain in your palm there. Well, I do anyway. The Steam Deck is so much more comfortable to hold than this, because this just feels horrible now to me. The analog sticks feel horrible, the bumpers feel terrible. Like, it's hard to play the Switch after playing the Steam Deck. So if you're worried about the Steam Deck being too big, being too bulky, feeling uncomfortable, don't worry about it, because I have got quite small hands. My hands aren't massive, but the Steam Deck feels absolutely perfect. It doesn't feel bulky, uncomfortable. The buttons, even though they look like they're in a weird place, they don't feel that bad. The only nitpicky thing I don't like is the fact that these mouse pad, these trackpad things, sometimes my thumb will slide onto them and it'll mess the camera up if I'm playing like a racing game or something, but it's very rare that happens. And obviously it comes with its very own carrying case. This is what it actually comes packaged in, and you don't have to buy one, so it comes with that, and this fits straight perfectly into your backpack, so don't worry about it not being able to take it anywhere. If you carry a backpack around like I do, it'll fit in there perfectly. Obviously you won't be able to put it in your pocket. I'll demonstrate that right now. Pocket here, yeah, so it doesn't fit in your pocket, but I mean, when's the last time you saw someone walking around with a Switch in their pocket? Never. So don't worry about it being too bulky or anything, because it's actually the perfect size, and yeah, that's all I've got to say really. It's perfect. I've got no complaints on the way it's been designed or how it feels in the hands. So yeah, that's another 2 thumbs up for me for the Steam Deck. So obviously next up I need to talk about the games. Now all the footage you're seeing in this video has been recorded on the Steam Deck. It's not been recorded on a PC, it's not been recorded on a console, so everything you're seeing has been recorded on that device. Now one thing I will say, the best way to sum up the Steam Deck is it can play anything and everything, but there's a bit of an asterisk on that because some games just will not allow you to play the game on this device. A lot of online games, a lot of newer games just will not let you play this because it is a Linux device. So games like FC24, the Crew Motorfest, Crew 2, which I am very annoyed with because the Crew 2 is like 62p on Steam right now and I really wanted to get that. And the new Call of Duties you can't play on this. There is a way to run Windows on the Steam Deck, it's called dual booting, which basically involves putting Windows on the micro SD card and then using that as sort of a separate operating system to run games on. It's not something I've done personally because I can live without having like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 or FIFA on this device, so I don't really care too much about installing Windows on there. I've kept it as vanilla as possible, but it is there if you want to do that, if you want to play around with it. But obviously there are some negatives to doing that. You could end up bricking your system if you don't do it the right way, or you could end up causing more problems for your device if you do run Windows on it. I'm not speaking from experience, I haven't done that myself, so I can't really give too much information on that, but there are tutorials out there. So if you want to play Call of Duty, the newest Call of Duty or FC24 or 25 in the future, then you're going to have to put Windows on this, which I haven't done, but the option is there. But just know that there are a few risks with doing that. So enough about the games it can't play, what about the games it can? Now the reason I got a Steam Deck personally was when the Fallout TV series came out and I really wanted to play Fallout, but I didn't really always have access to my Xbox because I was quite busy. So I wanted to play something like portable I could just pick up and play, and obviously the only thing I had was the Switch, which this thing, even though it's so frustrating because I know full well that they could probably get Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, GTA 4, Dead Rising running on this thing, but they just haven't ported it over. So that's the frustrating thing about the Switch, is that I know it can run so many good old games, but they just haven't ported it over. So that's why I've got a Steam Deck, because it's a PC. You can go onto Steam, I'd say about 80%, 85% of the games you see on Steam's library can run on that device, so you don't have to worry about, oh, they haven't ported it to the Steam Deck, because they don't need to port anything. It's a PC, it can run those games. It's just unreal the amount of games that you can actually play on that device. I love going back and playing older games, like I've said, Dead Rising, Fallout, GTA 4, and plus if the older the game, the more battery life you're going to get out of this. So if you're someone like me who likes playing older games rather than newer games, you're going to get a lot of battery life out of it as well, and they take up less storage, so it's a win-win. But the one thing to look out for on Steam is, of course, if the game is verified, playable or unsupported. Now it's a bit tricky with these verifications that Steam have in place, because obviously if it's verified, if it's got a green tick, it'll play it no problem whatsoever. You can just jump in and play the game. Now if it's playable, most of the time it is playable and you can play the game, but Steam just lets you know that you're going to have to use the internal keyboard, you're going to have to bring it up yourself, some of the text you can't read, you might have to authenticate the device through a third-party online thing, which EA do a lot of. It's really annoying that games like Need for Speed Heat, you can't actually play offline, you have to be always online to play games like that. But yeah, if you see that verified or playable, then 9 times out of 10 the games are going to play perfectly without any problems. But the one thing I want to talk about is unsupported. Now you see this across a lot of the games I spoke about earlier, so FC24 for example, or the Crew Motorfest, they will not run on this device. It will say unsupported, and it'll tell you that it's unsupported due to the anti-cheat software the games have. But the one thing I do want to bring up is with some unsupported games, the device still supports them. Like Spec Ops The Line is a great example. It's an older game and it says unsupported, but I had it in my Steam library. I can't say that word, I do apologise. But I had it in my Steam, on my Steam account, and I thought I'd download it to see if it did actually work, and lo and behold, it actually worked, even though it said unsupported. So yeah, the best thing I'd say, if you are new to having a PC, or this is your first sort of PC device or something that's running Steam, if there's a game you're interested in getting, go and Google it or YouTube it and see how other people have got it running on that device first. Don't just go off what Steam tells you, because some games that say unsupported actually run pretty well. So yeah, you get access to almost, I'd say about 85% of the Steam library, which, you know, includes games from Xbox like Forza and Halo, and then you get games from PlayStation as well. Last of Us, Uncharted, Spider-Man, God of War can all run on the Steam Deck, so you can play everything and anything. Obviously not the games that have some sort of anti-cheat software, I've gone through that, but you can almost play anything on this device, which is probably the best thing about it. Of course, it has mod support as well, so things like Black Ops 3 custom zombie maps, which I absolutely love playing. I can find you play in the palm of my hand. I can go straight to the workshop, download a map and just play it. There's a Tony Hawk Pro Skater custom zombies map, which is just the perfect. I've been playing hours of, and it's simple to do. You can just download mods and do all that lovely stuff you do on PCs anyway, but in sort of portable console form, which is just sums up the Steam Deck perfectly well. Now I am going to talk about emulators just a little bit. I do run PS2 and GameCube emulators on this device, and that is it. You can run PS3 and Switch emulators, which I haven't done personally, but I have seen them running. The PS2 and the GameCube ones run incredibly well, as you'd expect, because it is just a high-powered PC really. So you can get Steamdeck on this, which is sort of this one application which just runs everything. It has a bunch of other emulators built inside of it, so there are tutorials online. The best thing I say is, if I can install something on this device, anyone can, because I am quite slow when it comes to installing things on devices and modding things. But yeah, Steamdeck on this it's perfect. The possibilities are endless on the games you can play on this device. And one more thing I will say is, if you are new to Steam and you want to buy a bunch of games, put them on your wish list. Steam is known for its massive sales that it has. I think The Crew 2 right now is 62 pence or 82 pence. Like, the Steam's sales are insane. So what I would say is, if you see a game that you really want, don't buy it at full price, just wishlist it. Steam will then send you an email when it does go on sale, so you can just pick it up for a fraction of the price. So yeah, that's another positive for the Steam Deck. So yeah, 2 thumbs up again for the games. Now the last thing I want to talk about is the sort of tinkering and messing with the settings with each individual game. You will have to do this a lot if you want to get the best battery life and the best settings out of each individual game. Now the one thing that Steam Deck does, which is just a massive positive, it has this thing called game profiles. So every time you start a game, you just turn that on, and then you get like specific settings for that game. So for example, Forza Horizon 4, I might have it at 60 frames per second, and I might have the TDP power limit at 12, and then I can switch to Red Dead. It'll switch the settings for Red Dead to 40 frames per second, and the TDP power limit is 10. I don't know, that's just an example in my head, but there are a lot of tutorials out there. There's a lot of people showing examples of what they do for theirs. All I would say is just find what suits you. Maybe you want to run the games at a higher frame rate, higher texture quality, or maybe you're like me, you don't really mind running it at a lower quality of textures or a lower frame rate if it means you're going to get more life out of the device. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up briefly. If you are a console player, you are going to be spending a lot of time playing with the settings in each individual game, but once you've done it once and once you've found the settings that are right for you, then it's done. You don't have to do it again. You don't have to go in each individual time you play the game, because Steam saves the settings. One more thing I will say is play around with the TDP power limit. From my understanding, what that means is that that is the amount of power that each game can use from the device. If you bring it round to about 10 or 8, most games can run okay on there, and it means that the device isn't working as hard to run those games, so it means your fan won't be going mental. Like when I first had it, every game I played the fan was going absolutely insane, but if you turn that down, play around with the settings, you can get a lot more battery life out of this in each individual game. So yeah, that's my one word of advice when it comes to each game. Play around with the settings, have a little play around, see what suits you, see what gives you the best battery life but also the best quality. You don't want to be putting your games down to low settings, because I've tried to play Red Dead 2 on low settings and it's disgusting. It looks horrible. It looks like someone's tried to get it to run on a Switch. That's how bad it looks. But on medium settings it looks okay, it looks good, and the screen's quite small anyway, so you don't really need very high quality textures on there. So yeah, it's my one word of advice with the Steam Deck games is just play around with the settings and find what's best for you. So yeah, that is it for the Steam Deck video. I know it hasn't been scripted and laid out perfectly, but I did really want to talk about the Steam Deck. I have really enjoyed my time with it, and this is a video I've wanted to make for quite a long time, but due to time constraints I just physically haven't got the time to dedicate a whole week to making this video. Obviously I'm making a Saints Row reboot video in the background as well as this video, so that'll be out in the next couple of weeks. Due to things in and around the house, obviously I don't know if you can see the radiator in the background, that wasn't there last week. A lot of things are changing, a lot of things are moving quite fast. The next 2 weekends after this I'm not going to be able to make videos, or the videos I want to make, like the Saints Row reboot video, I'm not going to be able to make it. But I have got things in and around, like this video today for example, that I am going to do in and around that video, just so I am constantly uploading and constantly making content for you guys. Ultimately that's what this video is. It's not scripted, it's me chatting shit for like 15 to 20 minutes about the Steam Deck. I hope you've enjoyed it, but yeah, over the next couple of weeks I am going to be away and not be able to make a video every Sunday. Next week I do want to make a video on Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster. I want to be playing the first hour and a bit of that and then uploading it to the channel so you can see my first thoughts on that game when that releases. But other than that, thank you so much for watching. I am going to be away for the next couple of weeks, but I am going to be trying to get content out for you guys. If you are new to the channel, if you've come from the TikTok account, then thank you for stopping by. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please check out my Saints Row retrospective series. I have been working hard on those. I am working on the Saints Row 2022 video as we speak, so please go and check those out. I'll leave a link on the screen at the end and leave a link down below, so please go and check those out. Other than that, thank you for watching, thank you for listening to me chat shit about the Steam Deck for the last 20 minutes, and if you have enjoyed, please leave a like, please subscribe, and as always, I'll see you when I see you.